Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of West Ham Fan TV's Midweek Musings, a show where we pick you 3 questions, give you a chance to answer, and I have a little go at it myself. This week, very transfer related of course, but you know, it always is going to be in the transfer window. Not much buzzing around apart from the lack of transfer activity in our football club, plus injuries. So that being said, let's get straight into it. Number 1. With so many injuries to our first team squad and with it being so thin, how do we approach our FA Cup game with Wigan this weekend? Approach it to win it. Play your best available squad. I know we've got Palace on the Tuesday. We've got a little bit of distance there between us and the relegation zone, so a loss to Palace, although would be fucking annoying, maybe wouldn't be the end of the world. But go, you know, don't do what you did against Shrewsbury. Don't go out there, you know, with the mentality that we're going to walk all over them. Go out there, best team, get them dispatched, get in the 5th round. We love a cup run at West Ham. We don't have them that often, but when we do, you know, it gets us all excited. It gets us all up for it. So make sure you put out your best team, Moisey, and dispatch the Latics. You know, Shrewsbury was a tough test. You know, it's always a tough test going into a game where, even though you're in the Premier League and they're in League One, where you're on a bad run of form, and the team you're playing are in a good run of form. Shrewsbury was 2nd in League One on a good run of form. We just about scraped in. Since then, we've picked up our form a little bit. We haven't lost in 7, but the Latics, Wigan, who are FA Cup winners in the past few years, of course, are a bit better than Shrewsbury. They're 1st in League One, and they're doing a little bit better than them. And they haven't. I think there's a stat that they are. They've conceded the least goals of any club in English league football, which is frightening, seeing as we've got so many players out. But we have got the firepower to do it. We've got a few good players. Hopefully, we might get 1 or 2 in before the weekend. João Mario is one that's, you know, rumoured to come in. But yeah, let's get a cup run. I'd love a cup run. Let's get over to what you guys have to say. The most important thing, at Nathan Ryan, what WHU says, 100% love a cup run, but the league is much more important. More youth will have to come in to the team. It will be difficult. Vasim Akhtar says, the biggest problem I found is it would play into the hands of the lower league teams by not playing to our strengths. I would love to see us play 3-5-2, Chica and Martinez up front, but playing side to side, Rice, Ginge, Burke at the back, Zaba, Cullen, Nobes, Czech, Oba and Masuaku. Den Vincent says, use Cullen, Byron, Burke, Rice, etc., but have Noble Kouyaté on the bench so they can come on for the last 20 if needed. At Billy WHUFC, honestly, let's not take our position for granted. A few losses and we're back in the drop zone again. I play youngsters and won't mind exiting the cup already, honestly. The league needs to be our focus. I don't know about that, man. I'd like a cup run. I think we've got enough in the league to, you know, to get through this. At Oasis LOLX says, honestly, I don't think we play the strongest team. No, honestly, I think we play the strongest team. We can try and win a game versus Wigan. Obviously, the league is more important than the FA Cup. But I think even with the players we have, we can easily draw/win against Palace if Moyes sets up correctly. James McLaren says, has anyone seen updates on Reid, Hernandez, Ayew, Sacco injuries? Seems Fonte and Antonio are on the way back. At WHU, Daniel says, I don't know what that's got to do with this question, by the way. At WHU, Daniel, mostly youth, give Sabanovic a chance and start Oxford, Rice and Burke as back 3. Sarah, if the Bastards, we only have 2 options. The ball stop messing about and replace the injured players in our squad, or play the youths. At Olas FBB, make signings, it's not rocket science. At Billy Ray 91, have to play a weak team, we have to concentrate on the league. A lot of people saying we have to concentrate on the league, which, you know, I like a cup run. Harry Hamilton says, same as we did last round, a few of the more experienced lot with the likes of Martinez, Cullen, Burke to start 11. Dave Hopper says, still play the strongest sides he had available, but don't take any risks, i.e. rushing back Antonio. Happy Hammer 72 says, by blaming Bilic. I don't know what's that got to do with this question, of course. At West Ham Today says, play our women's team, probably do a better job anyway. And last but not least, Jamie Gill says, play a slightly weaker team than when we did against Shrewsbury because all the injuries we have. A lot of people saying that we should concentrate on the league. I don't necessarily buy into that, to be honest. Right, question number 2. Javier Hernandez was reportedly asked his agent to find a new club this window. Who is at fault with him failing to live up to his reputation in East London? Now, look, we bought Javier Hernandez, and us being sceptical fans thought it was going to be the answer to all our prayers. We bought him, £16 million he cost, very good player on probably the most wages we've ever paid anyone in the history of our club. A lot more wages than people like Harry Kane, of course. And it hasn't quite worked out for him. Now, he hasn't been played. We don't play to his system. We don't play to his strengths. Whose fault is it that it hasn't worked out? Look, it's a bit of everybody's fault, really. I don't think Chicha's give a great account of himself when he's played. He's scored a few goals, of course. You know, a couple at the beginning of the season. Hasn't scored for a little while. Then he got one, the equaliser the other day versus who did we play? Bournemouth. Which was a good goal. I thought it was a very, you know, a poacher's striker's finish. He's never scored a goal outside the box in his career. Now, we haven't got enough creativity to create him chances. I don't believe anyway. It's not going to be one of them ones where you can whip balls into the box and he's going to be on the end of headers and things like that. He'll be on the end of them little slide rule passes where, you know, you slip him through to him and he's got to finish first time. He'll always be on there. And he scored against Arsenal like that, of course. But we just don't play the way that he needs to play. And I'll be honest with you, that when we bought him, I thought to myself, right, this is going to show us that there's going to be a change of mentality. There's going to be a change of tactics. We're going to play in a different way. And we just haven't done that. We just haven't played up to his strengths. We keep him on the bench most games. And Outovich, of course, who's preferred, you know, for his strength, his pace, his running, you know, his ability to take players on, his goal scoring abilities, where Hernandez is not really all of that. He's just a natural goal scorer, and he's come on late in games. He's struggled. I thought he had a terrible game against Shrewsbury the first time round. Didn't seem to be putting in any effort. I think he's getting a bit fed up with the service. He's getting a bit fed up with being stuck on the bench. He's not got long left in him. He's 29 now, so he's only got a few more years at the top. And we're not giving him the game time he needs. Now, there's been a change of manager since, you know, his old manager left. And, you know, nothing's changed. You know, David Moyes is going to do what he needs to do to keep himself up. That's what he's been employed for. And he just doesn't fit into the club, you know. And I don't think it's anyone's fault in particular that he hasn't worked out. He just hasn't worked out. And you know, I'll be willing to let him leave. Not at the moment. Like in the summer, maybe get someone a bit younger, with a bit more range to their game. You know, someone a bit like, I'm not saying this guy, so don't, you know, came in and comment. Balotelli, who is a goal scorer but can do everything else, can run, can head, can do this. You know, he is just a goal scorer, and we haven't got the players, and we haven't bought the players or to set up the way to, you know, to put them on a plate for him. You know, we haven't got that level of player yet. Anyway, let's have a look at what you guys have to say. I could sit here talking all day about Hernandez, but Jamie Gill says he is partly to blame himself. He hasn't been great when he plays, but he's mainly the manager who plays him up front on his own, and we don't play to his strength. We hoof it long. Agreed. Adam, nobody but himself. Simple. Billy WHUFC, well, the recruitment team, he's been the same type of goal scoring, poaching player his whole career. He's not the right fit here because we don't play to his strengths of that sort of player. Our recruitment team should have identified that. At Vas_Flick77, thing with Hernandez, you have to completely change the style of our team plays. We had played with two up top, meaning strikers played side by side and not with one on the wing. It could have worked. Slav plays players out of position, and the team was never settled. At Chris Wilkinson, Slaven for lying to him about where he would play. At WHU Daniel, Moyes clearly didn't like him from the start. He needs more game time, but I would sell him if we get at least 20 million. At Stickers2110 says, do believe he is under contract, so it's going to be a huge offer to get him. Sarah the Bastard says, combination of Ball and Bilic. At the end of the day, Bilic wanted little P but didn't build a squad and a formation around that type of player. At Clarky R says, we finally got a natural finisher at the club and we don't use him correctly. Not a lone striker, don't blame him for wanting out. At Swan Song, Hammered 85, it's a combination of the manager and the player himself, the club and his agent, everybody basically. We have a history of having strikers who are isolated up top on their own. He does not and never has fitted into that system. At Tommy Tyres says, Tiger Tommy says, nobody necessarily at fault. It just hasn't worked out for him, unfortunately. Just one of them things. Well, I agree with that. At Mark WHU, the way we played doesn't suit him. He's been expected to be a lone striker and that's not his game. He's scored everywhere he's been before West Ham and will score wherever he goes after. At Chris Shepherd says, if you buy a player like Hernandez and you play to his strengths, if Bilic wanted him, then he has to take responsibility for not getting the best out of him. If he were a Sullivan signing, then he shouldn't be anywhere near a player selection. Full stop. Alf Gasparo says, can't blame him at all. We've never played to his strengths and reportedly failed to get a decent cross into the box which he can latch onto. We don't get the ball anywhere near where he's effective and not surprised he wants out. I hope he stays. Given time, I'm sure he'll do fine. Harry Hamilton says, I don't think it's anyone's fault. We just have different players to what he needs to be around to be a success. Sometimes in football, transfer is success and sometimes they just don't work. It's just one of those things. At Dave Hopper says, scores all his goals in the box and needs support. When he has played, he has been isolated and the ball has often gone long. So the managers and coaches have to take a large part of the responsibility. And one more. At Billy Ray 91, the reason he's not been playing well for us, in my opinion, we haven't been playing to his strengths and he's a quality finisher and he's quick. And we lump balls up to him when he's got no chance of getting them or doing anything with it. Thank you very much for your feedback on that one. So last but not least, it's changed a little bit in the last day since I put this out. With the transfer window coming to an end and no new faces in yet, do the board have to take responsibility for the lack of signings, or it's just a tough window as we're told every year? Listen, I've seen clubs going out and doing business. They have identified what's going wrong, they've identified what they need to do, and they've identified what they need to change. They've gone and done it quickly and effectively. Do you know what? I'm going to go straight over to you guys on this one. Luke Malden, because I'll get my say on this every week. Let's go straight to you. At Luke Malden, tough window is a myth. If you put the money in someone's face, you make signings, and all the fans are used to failure from the board and seeming to all accept it now. The board are a disgrace and I want all three of them out. Harry Hamilton, not a tough window. I think the board are a bit sceptical to trust Moyes bringing in players knowing he's only got 6 months at the moment. You don't you don't want the club to spend say 15 million on Arthur from Bournemouth for the sake of 5 months. But yes, have to go and buy, we're very thin. At Game Right Army says, board 100%, really don't know how we're in a situation where we have to sell to buy. At Den Vincent says, I will personally judge them on the 1st of February. January is always hard to sign someone because teams don't let people leave until they have replacements themselves. We still have a week to go, which is always the bullshit part of the window, so we shall see. At Gio Mackie says, which window is the easy one? Good point. At Billy WHUFC says, this hasn't been tough in the slightest. Inter have given us the loan on a plate and we won't give them what's basically pocket money for him. I think we've done that now, Billy. Then Duncan wants to join in Moyes' dream sign. Why is it not as already? They've given us a price not tough. I'm going to take a couple more on this because we're running out of time. Sarah the Barca club never learns that we always pick up injuries this time of year. Our squad is very thin, been like this for the last 7 years. At West Ham Country, you can do business at any time of the year. Just look at VVD to Liverpool deal done outside the window, so it's just that it was at the club on the 1st of January. Owners make excuse after excuse just to save themselves from paying out. They have the money, they just don't want to spend it. And I'm going to take one more. At Nathan Ray says, I feel like the board is being really tight with money. Signings is a must right now, even though they are on loan. Kenny leads to Newcastle, see us join. Sign John Joe Sylvie. They need to sign more than what they've signed. They've signed one player. Well, reportedly signed one player. Hopefully he comes. But thank you very much for joining us on this edition of West Ham Fan TV's Monday Musings. Don't forget to go and check out all our other stuff that's upcoming. We've got all the stuff coming up for the Wigan game. We've got transfer window videos coming up daily now. So go and check all that out. And get involved again next week. One thing left to say. Come on, you Irons.